Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be cooking up some fresh sweet corn. I absolutely love fresh corn. I'm very excited when we are in the season for it. This is a very simple recipe, easy and quick to prepare, but it is so incredibly delicious. Genuinely one of my favorites. The recipe I'm making today comes from Joshua McFadden in his book 6 Seasons, which is all about taking advantage of fresh vegetables. So this recipe, we just need the corn. We have 4 fresh ears here. We of course have some butter. Butter and corn absolutely love each other. We'll use some salt and pepper too, which corn also loves. Then we have some Tabasco sauce. This just gives it a little bit of kick in there, not too much, but it works really well in this recipe. I was never much of a Tabasco person growing up. Gotten into a variety of hot sauces these days, but I find the Tabasco works really well in this recipe, so we're going to use it. And then we have just a handful of arugula that we're going to add into this dish. And the final ingredient I have wrapped up here. Let's pull this out. We have some nice bacon. Which is going to make this extra delicious, of course. Some nice uncured applewood bacon. So I think it would be cruel to make everyone wait to cook that. So we'll get started on that so we can have a little snack. And then I will prep those ears of corn. We're going to take the kernels off for this and just fry them up very simply. So let's do this tasty bacon and then we'll do that corn prep, okay? Let's get to it. Alright, quickly before we fry that bacon up, let's check in on the beverage front. I have opted not to make something today with a prepared beverage. It's a hot day, so something nice and cold This is a coffee milk tea. So my current status is heavily caffeinated. I will try to not bounce off the walls during this video and keep the chill atmosphere going. But this is very delicious, and I'm gonna enjoy it and get to cooking here. All right, let's get this bacon going. If you've been watching my other videos, you'll probably note that this stove is new. To do a replacement on the old one. I'm very excited to have this one instead of the ancient relic that was here before. I'm still getting used to using it though, so this might be a little bit of an adventure. Just lay my bacon in the pan here. Okay, that'll get going. I've staged my other ingredients over here for the corn, clearing up some space to be able to do the shucking and remove the kernels to make our recipe. Alright, things are getting nice and sizzly here. That amazing bacon smell is already filling the kitchen. Can't just let it sit. Really gotta have a good time cooking your bacon. You want to get some nice crispy bacon, don't we, Mr. Frodo? So, the recipe actually calls for pancetta. That seems overly fancy for me for this kind of thing. I think good old American bacon is absolutely perfect for corn. I also prefer to make it as strips and then crumble it up versus chopping it up ahead of time. I think it's just easier to work with that way, but you could do it either way. Those ends really want to curl up on us. That's okay. All right, we are on our way. All right, getting nice and crispy. Got my plate with a paper towel here. Soak up some of that fat. Okay, some wonderful bacon. Getting some smoke there, so let's get this off the heat. All right, this is the book that I mentioned. Six Seasons by Joshua McFadden. This is not a promoted video. I have no affiliation whatsoever. This is just a cookbook I genuinely enjoy and use fairly regularly. I bought this book in a quest to add more vegetables to my diet. Growing up, I was not a big fan, though I often had a lot of canned vegetables and things like that. So as I got older, started appreciating them more and in different preparations. But I wanted to get this book because it really looked like what I wanted. It's called Six Seasons because he thinks summer is worth breaking into multiple seasons and taking advantage of what is in season, you know, on a more granular level. Really about taking advantage of wonderful fresh produce. But he both provides recipes and, well, you can tell that I cook this corn recipe because the book opened right to it. He actually offers 4 different variations, one of which is a wonderful creamed corn. Spoiler alert, to add cream and cheese, but it's delicious. But anyway, he has recipes, but also talks about the vegetables, how to store them, how generally you can use them, and helpful tips like that. The book struck me in part because there were lots of flavor combinations I'd never seen and definitely hadn't thought of. And even if some of them seem sort of unusual, it inspired me to try them rather than bypass them. I've discovered some wonderful things. You can see I have post-it notes in here marking favorites and to try recipes. So if you're looking for a good vegetable cookbook, it's not just vegetables, there are meats and fishes that are in the recipes too. Highly recommend. The tone is not really to my taste a lot of the time. That's a personal thing, but the material is great. I've had good luck with basically everything I've tried. Popular with folks that I've made them for. So, and also this book played a role in the courtship of my current partner. When we were first dating, we realized we both had a copy of this book, and it led to some bonding. I still haven't made the recipe for her that kind of kicked that off, but maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that soon. Anyway, we'll get back to cooking this wonderful corn recipe, but just wanted to share a little more about the book that is the source of the recipe I am using. Okay, let's get back to it. Alright, so I've cleared out my workspace a bit here for this next operation. We're going to go ahead and shuck the corn, and we'll take the kernels off so we can fry those up. Okay. Just have a sack here to handle these husks. And try to get most of that silk off there. just about done with our shucking. I'll be curious to know if anyone watching has ever competed in or won a corn shucking competition. One of the great sports of the world. All right. Just take care of that little bit of silk that has fallen into my tray here. Alright, so let's grab one of these ears. I'm going to take my knife and shave off the kernels. And I will try to avoid hitting the glass with the knife, which is a risk. We're just going to slice these off like that. Slicing action of the knife. Just hit any little spots that we've missed here. And then go ahead and scrape. Really want to release all those wonderful corn juices. So sweet and delicious. Okay, that is one. Let's do our next one here. Okay. Look at all that wonderful corn off of there. Alright, pretty good. Let's go ahead and scrape this one too. So much goodness there. Alright, halfway there. course, you could make this if you had frozen corn kernels, say. But you really just can't beat using fresh corn for it. So good. And scrape. There we go. All that good stuff. Alright, and our last one here. Just slicing off these kernels. Wonderful. Okay. The end here, just make sure we got all those. Don't want to fight it, just let the knife slice through. There we go. All right. And the last scrape here. Okay. Great. All right, so now our kernels are all set to go. Wonderfully delicious. Let's take those over to the stove and we'll get going. All right, so we are all set to go. I'm gonna get my pan back on the heat. I've wiped out the bacon grease. I'm not at a point in life where I utilize that, but if you are, more power to you. So we're going to put about 1 tablespoon of butter into our pan here. Get that melting. I did wipe out the bacon grease, but I did leave a bit of that fond there. Might as well use it. And like I said, I've got my ingredients staged and ready to go. Since this cooks very quickly, really like 4 minutes, maybe. Swirl this butter around a bit, and then let's get our corn in there. Scrape it to make sure we get those juices. We got it out of that corn. And let's just stir that around, get that butter distributed. Okay, so let's hit this with some of our salt. Butter and salt, so good. Corn, don't even have to add anything else here. We'll hit it with some black pepper too. Just a little bit more. Stir this in. So this is very simple. Let's just toss in our arugula. And we're just gonna cook that a little bit just so we get that wilted. And let's hit it with some of the hot sauce. Just a splash to kind of give it that little bit of kick. Hardly any, just a flavor note, really. And now I'm going to crumble up that bacon so it gets nice and warm in here with the corn. Just do it by hand. No need to be fancy with it. So good. And we'll just sample a little bit. So delicious. Just mix that in here. And this is literally all there is to it. Just gonna grab a quick taste here. See how we're doing on the seasoning. It's really good. I think I'm just gonna add one more tiny hit. And just a touch more pepper too. Alright, so that's really all that we need to do. Don't want to overcook all of this corn. Some nice bite to it, but a very simple dish. The payoff is very high, so let's serve some up. Okay, I'll turn off the heat here. And I've got my bowl. And we've got some little bits of husk in there. It's totally fine. Alright. It's ready to go, so let's pull this off the heat. Okay, let's serve it up. Alright, and here is our sauteed corn with arugula and bacon. I hope you enjoy.